Okay, the budget worksheet is the last big component of it here. There are some instructions here on the assignment page, and when you open up the spreadsheet, it gives you all of it here as well. Now, the first tab is just going to be the instructions with some example stuff that is put in here. And then the second tab down here, your sheet, is where you will put your information. Now, this is where you are going to make use of your expense tracking, right, as well as the goal setting sheet. Okay. Now, what you're going to do is put in your information. So the first section up here has to do with your income. How much money do you have coming in? Now, you need to be the judge of this. So if you have a job or an allowance or you mow lawns, whatever it is that happens to be, any money that you have coming in, I need you to put down how much it is that you typically make in a given month. All right. Now, this can differ depending on month to month. Give me a general average of the amount of income you have in a general month. All right. So let's say that generally speaking, you would have $500 in income in a given month. So let's say that your paycheck is $500. All right. Now, what you'll notice here in this column, and we're only working with this column right here, current income and current spending. So you have $500. Let's say that your parents are nice people to you, and they give you, let's say on average, $20 a month. All right. So those are your incomes, and it totals up to $520 a month that you have coming in. Now, the spending down here, this is where we're going to use your expense tracking, because you'll notice these categories match up with this stuff. I did that for a reason. So you can use your 4-week totals, all right? We're going to use the 4-week totals. And here I made some examples of some different expenses. So I went to Chick-fil-A and Jack in the Box, and I went out and bought myself a PS5. And I got some clothes, and then I paid for my phone, and then I paid some car insurance, all right? So all those expenses over here got totaled up in the 2-week total right here. And you might recall that we're trying to look for a 4-week total, because this is going to be on a per month basis. So we're going to turn 2 weeks of spending into 4 weeks of spending. So this doubled everything that was right here. So you want to take all the spending that was right here for each one of the categories and then transfer it over here. All right. Now, a couple of you are thinking, well, I don't buy a PS5 every month, and this is true. We're going to get to that. All right. So for fast food, I spent $21.86 for the month. So I will put $21.86. Oops. Probably help if I put a decimal there. $21.86 for a restaurant. All right, and it just rounds up. I might change that. I'll leave it there. It doesn't really matter all that much. So $22, right, is the average rounded for what I'm spending here in a given month in fast food. Other foods, 0. Clothes, if I'm spending that much every 2 weeks, then be $106.32. So $106.32. All right, it was 0 on food. You can put a 0 there if you want to. You can just leave it blank. All right, so for phone, $122.44. Now, this is where I don't want you to just take these numbers exactly, okay? Now, it took this and doubled it over here. Now, do I spend $124.44 on phone plan every month? No. I only spend $62.22, right? So just because you see this number here, I don't want you to necessarily use that. You need to use some judgment here and some discretion. All right, I'm only spending $62.22 per month on my phone. All right, so I'm not going to take that number. I'll be taking this one, the $62.22. So that's what I'll put here, $62.22. All right. Now, here on electronics, well, I spent $500 on my PS5, and it doubles it here to $1,000, but I don't buy a PS5 every month. This is going to be a special one-time expense, and I'm not going to be doing this all the time, right? In fact, generally in a given month, let's say I don't spend anything on electronics, so I will leave that 0, right? So I spent $500 this month, but I'm not going to do that every month. That was special spending. I'm not going to include that in my general budgeting, all right? So I'll leave that one blank, right? I'll just leave it as 0. Okay. So car insurance, right? So car, auto came up here, doubled $1,240, but I don't spend anything else on my car. Let's say somebody else pays for my gas. So I'd only put 120 there for that. All right. So 120 for auto. See how this works out? Now there might be certain expenses. Oh, let's say that I do have gas expenses, right, which I'd put under auto. So let's say that I spent, gas. And let's say I spent, I don't know, $40 on gas. All right. So over here, your auto, we're going to put that under that. Let's say I use my debit card. So right now, auto is showing 160. All right. Well, if you're spending this every 2 weeks, it would be the $120 you spend in car insurance plus $80 you spend on gas. So therefore, what you would put down here for auto is actually $200. All right, $120 for car insurance plus the $80 you spend on gas. All right, so don't take these as gospel right here as the numbers you should exactly transpose. And you'll need to use a little bit of discretion if there are going to be certain amounts that you don't spend every month or they don't get doubled every month, etc. All right, if you want to, you can just completely ignore this stuff over here. Right, this is just handy totaling, and you can just whip out a calculator and add everything up as needed over here for each one of the categories. All right. So you could just blank all this out if you want to, which you can do. Just highlight it all, delete, all right? And then you yourself add up what it is you're going to have in each one of these. All right, if you want to add it, it's really easy. You hit the equal sign, and then you click the cell, and then you say plus, and then you click the other cell you want to add on to it, and then you go like that. All right? So I'm going to put all this stuff right here. Let's say these are all my expenses. For the month, it adds up to $390. So I'm spending $390 a month. My current savings is $130 per month. All right. Now that is the $520 minus the $390 means I have $130 left over at the end of the month. That's how much money I have saved. Now, what I want you to do at this point is compare the amount of money you're saving to how much money you need to save in order to achieve your 6-month and 1-year goals. Let's say that in order to achieve those two goals, I really need to be saving $200 a month. Right? Well, currently I'm not saving enough to meet my goal. I'm only meeting $130 out of the $200 that I need. So what should I do? Well, I either need to make more money or I need to spend less. So in the changes column right here, you need to make the adjustments. Let's say I expect to pick up a few more hours at work, so I'm going to change my income to an additional $50. All right. So I'm going to pick up $50 additional at work. Let's say my parents are going to be a little bit more stingy in the future. They'll only give me $10 in the future, so I'll have $10 less. All right. So that means that my income change will be a positive $40. In my spending area right here, let's say, well, maybe I can cut back on fast food some, so I'll have that. Let's say that I don't need to spend that much money on clothes. I'm going to spend less money on clothes also, $50 less on clothes. Let's say that I'm going to change my phone plan and I'll be able to save $20 a month on that. I'm going to spend less money on gas, so let's say I spend $20 less there. All right, so then I'll be making $101 less, or I'll be spending $101 less. So my savings change would be that I'm going to save $141 more than what I did before. This column right here calculates for you. So it's taking your new budgeted income. All right, so you're originally going to be bringing in $500. You expect to make $50 more, so that means you now are going to be budgeting $550 in income. Right, your parents were giving you $20. You expect them to give you less, and now you're bringing in $10 there. So your overall new budget income is $560. And then over here shows your new budgeted spending. So you were going to be spending $22 a month in fast food. You cut out half of that, so now you're only spending $11. Right, you were spending $106 on clothes. We cut out $50 there, so that means you're only spending $56 on clothes now. Right, and so it takes it all the way down the line. So we changed our spending from $309 a month to $289. So based on your new income and your new spending, that means that you're now going to be saving $271 a month, which means that you now have enough money saved up on a per month basis to meet the goals that you have. Since we needed $200 a month to be able to meet those. Yep. So the point of this is to budget your money in such a way to pardon me, to be able to meet the goals that you have for yourself in the 6-month and 1-year time frames. All right. And one of the things you might discover during the course of this, by the way, is that sometimes it's the little things that cause the problems. It's easy to think, oh, well, the really big spending is what's killing me. No, a lot of times it's the small stuff. Even if you only eat out, let's say you eat out 3 times a week, and we'll say that it's not even all that much for current prices. Let's say you eat out 3 times a week and it's costing you $5 each time you eat out. All right. Well, that's $15 a week that you're spending on it. That is what, $30, $60 every month that you're spending on fast food. And if that still doesn't seem like a whole lot, well, that's what, $720 per year they're spending on fast food. All right, on nothing more than fast food. Well, if there are things that you think to yourself that you'd like to be able to buy at that $720, then you need to adjust your spending. Maybe you don't need to eat out 3 times a week. Maybe you can cut it back to once or twice. Maybe your parents are actually right that you actually do have food at home. All right, so take this in consideration when you're planning this out, when you're budgeting. So part of the point of this entire process is that it actually points out to you how much money you're spending in different places in actuality, as opposed to what you think you were spending money on in different places, and to try to budget your money accordingly. When you become an actual autonomous and fully independent adult, you will also have mandatory things you got to budget for, like utilities and rent and a whole bunch of other various things, which are going to be rather non-negotiable. Right? So you'll have to build that into your budget to make sure you have the money available each month to be able to pay that stuff. Okay? All right. Now, if you have questions, make sure to let me know. Now, this budget sheet here will be due on December 9th. I'll throw in very last here is the reflection. This is going to be done through a text box. So submit assignment and then type it in there where you are reflecting on what it is that you have learned during the course of the project. It has to be about a paragraph. Doesn't have to be massive or anything like that. I'm not looking for a work with staggering genius. I'm looking for an honest assessment of what you have learned about your own spending and your own income and about budgeting and about finances from the people you interviewed that is meaningful to you.